Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. I will not risk missing my video, so I will leave it there. I will skip my first slides. So I'm Erandy Vergara. I am from Mexico, so Mexicana, and I'm happy to be here. I work for the past 4 years at Printemps Numérique. It's a nonprofit organization based in Montreal. The idea is to bring together the different communities that develop technologies in Montreal in different sectors, the health sector, architecture, visual effects, video games, art, and the idea is to create different events that target 3 different kinds of communities. So publics, the general public, professionals, so any kind of specialist working in these fields, and then young people. So we have a lot in common with the previous presenters, and the idea is to create a series of events that connect these industries in Montreal among themselves through seminars, workshops, symposiums, but also with new generations. So we have, for instance, an event called Intersection, that is a series of conferences where different people come together and present recent developments. Usually it's for the local communities. But we also have workshops that our team goes to different schools, also work with different Aboriginal communities and indigenous communities in Quebec, which is the province where Montreal is located, and they go to different indigenous communities and work with the leaders to bring different technologies. So they teach all kinds of young publics how to use. They explain them what technologies such as augmented reality, virtual reality are, how they work. They bring small robots and show them how they are programmed. They teach them how to use 3D printers, 3D modeling, and so through different activities, we want to reach out to the public. And I forgot to set up my time, so I guess it's been like 2 minutes. Perfect. I will put my timer. Okay, 17. And so one of the things you might remember us, or maybe not, we organized the past ISEA. And as you can imagine, it was in the midst of the pandemic, so we need to adapt it online. So what I'm going to do is just play it as a background. Many of you participated in this ISEA edition as well. So Printemps Numérique has an event called MTL Connect. It's a conference that for 4 days have parallel sessions such as ISEA. The difference is that we bring together local players. So let's say we have a series of panels focusing on health and how different tech industries in Montreal develop technologies related to health. Another panel or series of sessions will be about architecture, mobility, transportation, artificial intelligence. And the idea is that through this series of conferences, people from different fields developing technologies in Montreal can come together. Within this event, MTL Connect, we hosted ISEA 2020. The academic chairs were Christine Ross and Chris Salter. The scholar in charge of the academic program who's here with us is Manuel Frère, and I was the head of the whole project, and also artistic co-chair with Alice Jim and Caroline Andrieux. So what we wanted to do with ISEA is to connect the local communities that have been growing since the past ISEA 20 years before, and to bring them to the organizations that work now in Montreal. So universities, artisan centers, and also to bring them to the local community. As you might remember, some of those of you who participated, we have to change for an online programming. And here I want to just briefly mention that the academic program, we try as much as we could to create different platforms, use different platforms that could allow normal conference. It wasn't Zoom, but it looked like Zoom. But we also have some informal events. Obviously, as we know, nothing can compare the real experience. We try. And the thing about the art program I want to mention is that we launched the program in a website. We wanted to call it a website. And the idea was, the theme was why sentience. And you can imagine that thinking about this conception of sentience as something that goes beyond conceptions of living and non-living, when suddenly we had a virus that in the traditional sense is not considered living, but transformed the life of every living human living in the planet, we thought the theme was more relevant. The works we had choose for the artistic programming were sensorial. They were some activated with mist, light. There were things that we needed to taste, ice cream sharing, smell, oysters. And so all of these was launched in a website because we thought there was no way we were doing a 3D version of a gallery and those senses couldn't be translated in any website. We also had the video program was running in trucks that usually use LED screens for publicity. We rented them to have the videos of the artistic programming running throughout the city. And this is the way we adapted. The way the organization changed since ISEA, it's obviously affected by this. And our theme, and now I can go to my presentation. So the theme for this year's program is Ecosystems of Hope. And this was, hope was inspired by all of the experiences in the city where I don't know how it was for you, but when I was walking in Montreal, there was no noise, so we could hear the planes differently. It was the winter, so with the snow, sound traveled differently. And I also began to hear birds that I would only listen to when I was going camping outside of the city. And as many of you might have read, many articles talking about all the different species that started populating cities, that started going because humans were in there. So all the life that continued to grow and change a landscape that we had taken over. And so that idea of all of the species, including plants, that started to populating a world that we have claimed as ours only, was for me what hope meant, and not necessarily hope only for human species, but for other species, and even thinking that if we're not there one day, it's not, c'est pas grave, as we say in French, it's not a big deal. So thinking hope beyond humanism. And so with this idea, the artistic programming is, of this year is asking two main questions. It's engaging two main issues, climate responsibility and equity. And we wanted to think what does hope means collectively and individually, understanding us as individuals related to different collectivities. So I, for instance, I'm a mom, and I'm also a scholar, and I'm also Mexican, so I care about what happens in Mexico and Canada, and like the different ways in which identity and aspects of our experience determine what we hope for. And the key questions we want to explore is how do contemporary artists engage with the pressing issues of our time? What do they do that is different from scientists or tech industries? What forms do their reflections take? And this is the part we wanted to explore. Their experiences that, say, I work about engaging with climate change, what kind of experience it invited us to live, and how does that is different from reading an article about climate change? What senses does it invoke, and how does that engage us with that theme, but also with the work? And so what do contemporary artists hope for? And also we wanted to engage with works that try either a speculation or also works that take action. So works that artists that work with different communities, and try to take action again. thinking about what hope means for us. I'd be happy to discuss any further points in the Q&A. Thank you.